more action. Let's go. By the way, speaking of action, chat voted, and it's even closer than the other two, as it should be. 52% of you say Hikaru Nakamura is the favorite heading into this match. Again, that's about as close as it can get to a 50-50 split. So here we go. Hikaru Nakamura, Magnus Carlsen. God, those words feel good.
It certainly do. And what is this mainline stuff? Why are they playing a long theoretical variation where they barely spent any time and we're on move 21 and they're trading off all the pieces?
Yeah, maybe a little bit of nerves. Maybe neither side wanted to play too risk it for the biscuit chess out of the gate. And now Hikaru a little worried about his back rank. That makes sense.
And this is seeing more pieces get traded.
And also from a time perspective, they played so fast that neither player should really get in the kind of time pressure that leads to blunders. Although now things going a little bit White's direction. Hikaru accepts the rook ending.
And interesting, he offered a trade, but Magnus doesn't want to trade because the white king is close to the center. This is actually instructive stuff. You don't say that often in Bullet, but it's instructive to know he didn't trade because the white king was more active.
Yeah. Well, when two heavyweights meet, sometimes there's a lot of footwork before you see any real punches landed, and that game was an example of that. Just some footwork, both guys kind of being like, all right, I'm where I want to be in the grand final versus, objectively maybe the best opponent I could be facing. I think they both feel that way, and a draw starts things off.
And now we get a Benoni structure from Black's point of view, but the knight comes into d4, and Hikaru quickly, what? Queen b6 met by knight f5, a sacrifice.
Yeah, it's a bit of a bluff according to the computer, but it doesn't matter because in Bullet, can you calculate everything? Hikaru laughs in the face of danger at the knight and takes e4 cold-hearted.
But
wow,
there's no mate against this king. It feels so open.
Yeah, Magnus's attack is raging on. Hikaru way down on the clock here, by the way.
Yeah, good call. So what's happening here? Black has two minor pieces.
Every piece is hanging. And apparently that's no good because queen f6 at the end, I think.
No. But f6.
Oh, he finds f6. The queen is under fire.
Yeah. So now this queen's under attack and the rook in the corner. A white's king is safer between the two, but black is up a full piece.
Dude, these guys' ability to just stare down the barrel of insanity is what separates them, right? I mean, I said cold-hearted. Really, it's cold-blooded. Hikaru's ability to navigate those tactics and parry those threats, Robert.
Good try by Magnus, though. But this queen on c1 covers the g5 square, which is very important right there. The queen would have went up to g5 with a perpetual. Instead, the queen on c1 covers. The king escapes. Hikaru Nakamura should take this game.
Yeah, he's finding a way to get surgical against that white king, but Magnus holding on. Is there a perpetual now?
And Hikaru needs to be careful because if Magnus was queen c6 check, he can't pre-move. He would lose his queen. That's a draw by repetition.
Yeah. Is it? Hikaru shakes his head. Couldn't find a way out of the checks. Magnus snatches a draw from the jaws of defeat there.
And
wow.
Yeah, Hikaru's probably a bit unhappy about that. He was up major material. But Magnus, he's showing off the mouse speed now. He is improving. I think the more games he plays, the faster he gets in crunch time.
Yeah, he's keeping up the speed. That's been the one thing you wonder if he was going to be able to do. He did it with Danya, did it with Alireza. Will he maintain speed against Hikaru? This game he's down 5 seconds. And Hikaru also looking pretty good. Did he just win the exchange for free? I think he did. That's easy money.
He's up a pawn right now, and he's pushing his pawns. And this is a knight and bishop. This just doesn't look good for black. But if anyone can weasel their way out, it feels like Magnus. He's good at these endgames.
E3 and C4. Yeah, sorry, it wasn't an exchange. It was a pawn. I was hallucinating there. But ultimately, white is still just much better. And the fact that Hikaru is also up, 14 seconds on the clock?
Mm-hmm.
In fact, Magnus just resigns. And just like that, we have our first decisive game of the match. Hikaru Nakamura with a 1-game lead.
Yeah, Magnus says, I cannot look at that position anymore. You outplayed me. Good work. And now it's back to the drawing board. And the openings, I feel like we haven't seen anything of note thus far. They're dabbling in different lines. But sometimes we know we're going to get a Berlin match or we're going to see one side out-prep the other. It's just a bunch of jockeying right now.
Agreed, but I will say the one thing we also haven't seen is sometimes Hikaru will play I'll call them the dubious Hikaru specials, right? Where he'll play the B3 stuff or play the openings he knows objectively aren't great, um, because he's so comfortable with them and he knows he can outplay people anyway. I don't think he's messing around with kind of dubious openings against Magnus, Robert. I think that's one thing we've seen.
And
Although,
that was a mistake from Matt. Apparently, it was almost winning for him. And now suddenly Black is the side for choice. Black has the bishop pair and isn't losing material. Please take me, says Magnus. I want to hit both your rooks. And Hikaru says, absolutely not.
how do you play chess like that with no time? I don't know. I'm speechless.
Magnus, for like the fifth time today, has sacrificed an exchange in a great way. Like, look at this position. He has a bishop and 2 pawns for a rook. He also has the healthier king. His connect 4, I win.
Well, I'll say the other thing he has is an edge on the clock for the first time, although right as we say that, he blunders. Is there some sort of mate?
It's mate.
G5 is coming and it's mate. Hikaru has to sack.
And then his pawn should go. Just push the F pawn. E5. Oh, but then he gets behind the pawn first, and then he chases it down. That was well played. Good technique. 5 extra seconds on the clock for Magnus.
Yeah, Hikaru takes one of the pawns, but it's not enough. Freddy's going to get frisky on the F-file, and Magnus is going to level things up in this game unless something wild happens. He also has a huge edge on the clock, which I think was maybe the biggest turnaround of all, Robert, in this game. Magnus was leading on the clock wire to wire.
And did you see that? Magnus went king e3. He gave up his pawn, so it was objectively a bad move, but he's playing faster, and Hikaru expected the pawn to push, so he pre-moved his rook up, and that's why Magnus was able to steal that rook and the game. So it's 2-2, and that means we are level once more, just like at the start. And look, again, they're playing a quiet line, almost as if they're playing each other in a classical match.
Yeah, agreed. This is high-level opening chess, quiet lines, and there's 40 now, just under 40 minutes on the clock, so we got a lot of chess here. We've got 55,000 of you tuning in across all platforms. Don't go anywhere. The fun has just begun on this Friday. I don't know if we're going to get overtime chess, but we're going to get an epic clash no matter what.
Well, Hikaru is going to get a pawn-up advantage because he just stole one of those double isolated pawns in the center. But White's pawn structure, not healthy, but who cares how healthy it is when you're up 2 of them?
Yeah. A couple of doubled but passed e-pawns feels good. Hikaru rebounding here from that loss he just had. And by the way, again, look at the edge of the clock. This has been an interesting match so far, Robert. It feels like the decisive games, at least, I know we had a couple draws, the decisive games have been very one-sided, right? Like one player's not just winning on the board, they're dominating on the clock, and the other guy has to go back to the drawing board. Magnus just resigns.
Yeah, you're right. 100% right. And also they're switching off who has the lead on the clock. In some earlier matches, one player always jets out to a huge time advantage, and then the other player catches up. Here, they're trading off victories, they're trading off time advantages, and they're also switching up their openings. I mean, Magnus, he did play this style in the game that he won 2 ago, and Hikaru says, if you're going to go for this again, I'm ready, and I'm stealing a pawn in the center.
Yeah, agreed. By the way, that vote I had earlier, there were 5,000 votes from the YouTube chat, which was 52% Hikaru Nakamura. But then we have several thousand from Twitch, and it's 58% Hikaru Nakamura. So interesting, both Twitch and YouTube slightly favoring Hikaru in this match, and Hikaru, again, to be favored in this position.
Yeah, because Rook D5 was such a superb move there by Hikaru. And Magnus, he's only down 1 pawn, and he's trading off queenside pawns. If he can trade off the remaining queenside pawns, he has a draw. But Hikaru, he's too smart to do that. He brings his king in, and that should be that when his king and rook pressure the C2 pawn.
Yeah, although Magnus still making it tricky. This was awkward. This is awkward. Okay, can you just take G2? No, because C4 check would have won the rook. That's right. Wow, what a weird turnaround there. Here comes Magnus with a C pawn.
And the clock is even, which means that mistakes might happen. But the B pawn, they're both queening, but you win the house for black here. And that means that Hikaru has the upper hand, and I think we'll see our first 2-point margin.
Yeah, Hikaru nods. That was Hikaru Nakamura number 3. That's the confident nod, followed by the duck lips. Clip it and ship it, everybody. The first Hikaru Nakamura facial expression we can easily catalog. Like this. He likes it. He likes it.
Oh, Danny, I miss commentating with you, so I'm glad we got the Hikaru facial reader with us today. But Hikaru's a beast. I think no matter what his face tells us, his play tells us that he is just desperate to win this event. Not because he's not the better player, but just because he really wants this title. Uh-oh.
Yep. Oh, and something happened there. There was a blunder. Was knight f4 check possible for Magnus?
I think first. No,
because
before he brought the queen.
Okay. Knight f4 and then queen in, and you win the knight with check. Okay. Magnus misplays that. You can't miss opportunities like that against Hikaru. As we said, he's the king when it comes to this format, and you don't get many chances to swing at him. So Magnus missed an opportunity there. We're, of course, lucky because we have the eval bar. I mean, again, no shame in saying that. That's the truth. But yeah, if this one ends in a draw, Hikaru maintains his 2-game lead.
And it's very even, but Hikaru is up a few seconds. So black is more active pieces, but Hikaru has more time with white. And this bishop now is terrible. It's locked in here. That might have been a bad decision, but the knight also is stuck. Both pieces can't move.
Yeah. What is going on with this position you've got? Okay, I think Hikaru just settles on the... Oh, okay, yeah, that's literally a draw for as well. That was funny. It was mutual trappage.
This takes me back to Hikaru on ICC beating the bots. He would get positions just like this, close it down, and then flag the bots. But here, Magnus was repeating enough times. We see a little smile there, and a draw is a fair result, but a good one for Hikaru, keeps his lead.
Yep. It's funny because I think a lot of people just don't appreciate some of these skills Hikaru has. These aren't accidental. These were trained. We always joke Hikaru was raised on ICC, right? And he was a human who was beating bots when bots were first entering the online chess servers, and he figured out strategies to beat computers, which is really mind blowing when you think about it. And that's one of the reasons he is so resourceful, so pesky and tricky on the online formats.
And this position, I have to say, at first glance, it looks really good for white. The black king feels less safe than the white king, and the bishop is out, but the king slid to the corner, and now the black king is being hunted.
Yeah. Magnus wants a victory. He needs to turn it around, bring it back within a game. Looks like he's on pace. Hikaru gives the head shake. Not over yet, but Magnus should get this one. Black's king is wide open. You just got to figure out a way to break through if you're Magnus.
Yeah, queen d5, queen d7 looks like a good way to do just that. And can you take it? He does, and bring the queen in. Yeah. I think white can bring the queen to f7 and then push this pawn.
Yeah. Hikaru trying to make things... Oh, you got queen g1, c1 queen. Outside chance of perpetual.
Oh, the queen! Queen
f7.
Take it!
Oh.
I take it the second time.
He sees it the second time. That's pretty funny.
Oh gosh, he waves his hand. What was I doing?
By the way, Hikaru streaming, of course. You saw that delayed reaction. That was pretty funny. He goes, didn't see the queen.
And it's a 1-point match once again, Danny. And Hikaru going to, again, one of these quiet positions. So these two have been engaging in combat in the endgame. Yeah,
Botez Gambit declined. I love that. Botez Gambit declined. The very rarely cited Botez Gambit declined there. But okay, if Magnus wins this one, Robert, then we will be level with 30 minutes like a regular match, right? Remember, we had 45 minutes to start this final, so we get extra chess between these two guys, which is great. But if Magnus wins, it basically is a wash, and we're back to 30 minutes with a tied match.
What is happening? The eval bar is doing push-ups over there, going up and down, and it seems like there's an incredible amount of tension. What is...
Yeah. How does this survive for Hikaru? The king's getting checked, but there's no rookie 3? I'm like, looks like piece... Okay, rookie 3 comes.
He takes the rook.
And it's Hikaru who's on the prowl.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And the H-pawn is running. Harry for the win. And by the way, a flex on the clock in this game by Hikaru. Look at that. That is a massive time advantage for Bullet.
And bishop e4 was a great move there by Hikaru. He knew to trade pieces off because the ensuing endgame would be so nice for him. He gets that win. And I think Magnus was blinded both by the sunlight and by Hikaru's great moves.
Yeah. Magnus needs to get a little help with the curtains and get a little help on the board right now with Hikaru Nakamura taking a 2-game lead as we reach the 30-minute mark. And he's on form. I guess he's answering the question that he isn't rusty, despite having watched Magnus for the last 2 hours. he's ready to now play Magnus.
And did you make an unintentional Greg Shahade ICC reference by talking about curtains?
If you want to throw back to ICC usernames, we can do some trivia, which is fun. Shout out to Hawkeye. We miss that guy. Yeah. Anyway, curtains.
This looks pretty nice for black. There's a great light square bishop for one side, and a not so great light square bishop for the other. And the black king is also more active.
Yeah, black king finds the nice e5 square. Even though, he goes for the bishop ending. Not a position that white should be able to win, especially when you're the one down 6 seconds on the clock. So Hikaru continuing to do what he does in bullet. A lot of time left, though. We got tons of time.
Oh, he's trying to trick him. I was like, how could you give this access point? But there's bishop a2 check, and then the bishop on e6 would have been lost.
Skewer. These guys are full of tricks. Silly rabbits. Tricks are for kids, although not in bullet chess. Tricks are for everyone in bullet.
This bishop is on the best possible square. It's keeping the king out of both directions, but that was smart by Hikaru. He trades some pawns. The 50-move rule starts once again, and unless Magnus can take both these pawns, he is going to lose this game on the clock.
Yeah. Hikaru flexing the time, what you got to do. Yeah, I wonder how good these guys are in bullet compared to my accuracy score in classical chess. If I had to guess, they're better at bullet than I am at classical chess. Just saying. Like, this is insane.
And look at Magnus. So what Hikaru's going to do is put his bishop on on G6 at some point, and he's going to take the bishop, and then Magnus is going to keep
he did it. And the pre-move for the win. Just as long as you don't accidentally stalemate or repeat a position 3 times, Magnus shakes his head, knows that Hikaru got the better of the meta bullet game there.
And that's the 3rd time that Hikaru has done that. He beat Alireza Firouzja twice in that same exact endgame with bishop and wrong corner for the rook pawn. And now Hikaru has built his lead up, and in addition to his 3-point lead, he's got a really nice position in this game with the uncompromised pawn structure on the king side for white and black's king side in shambles.
Yeah, and now you see the difference in body language. Hikaru with the head bob, feeling that ABBA. Dancing Queen. Only 17. Okay, that's what he's listening to, by the way. I'm sure. Hikaru just on the prowl right now, dude. Look at this.
Yeah, white's up a piece.
Up a piece. About to go up 4 games in the match. Up 4 seconds on the clock. Magnus no longer bobbing his head to T-Swift. Someone needs to change the momentum for Mr. Carlsen.
The only good news that I can think of for Magnus is he lost 6 games in a row against Alireza, and he still won the match. Hikaru is next level, right? That is the final boss. But he has lost a series of games, then was able to go on a winning streak of his own. So that at least should give him some confidence in the back of his mind.
Yeah, agreed. And that's the point we were making at the start of the match, is that because Magnus was down against Alireza and came back, that has to pay dividends here, at least from a psychological perspective. If you didn't see that match, Magnus was down 3 games, Robert, with 5 minutes to go. Like, yes, he was winning the game to make it 2, but that was impressive. And he ended up really turning it around. So Magnus is not going to go quietly into the night here.
No, of course not. He always is a fighter. And now we're getting to an endgame. And Hikaru's actually been outplaying Magnus in many of these endgames. He's aided by the clock. He has a slight lead in this game as well. But look at the piece placement. He goes for C5.
Yep. And Hikaru is just feeling it. He's really flexing it right now. Enjoying the tune. I don't know. Maybe that isn't Ava, because that doesn't look like a dancing queen beat.
No, it looks... I wonder what he's listening to. I was going to just throw out a random musician, but I will ask him when it's done. He's probably not listening to anything. Right. Just the beat of his moves.
Yeah, again, the creepy thing would be that he's not listening to any music. Oh my god, and Magnus blunders a piece. Hikaru maybe going to take another one. And, you know, we asked a question, would Hikaru be rusty? Because Magnus is the one who played 2 matches, Robert. But the other flip side was, will Magnus's momentum turn into exhaustion? And if this one gets away from him, I think at this point it just might be that kind of ran out of steam here against the final boss, as you said.
Just unreal play thus far from Hikaru. He's fast. He's playing very accurately, and he's getting to the end games where he can play for 2 results, as we say in classical chess. He knows that if Magnus plays super quickly, he might hold a draw, but otherwise Hikaru can use the clock as the main weapon.
According to one of our mods, Hikaru was listening to some Bollywood hits. By the way, if you haven't seen RRR, fantastic film. Sorry,
I
back to the chess.
don't apologize. I just watched it the other night. Everyone wants to be Beam out there.
That was anyway. Okay, we can't turn this into a movie podcast. All right, so staying on the chest here, Hikaru parries what was a lot of pressure, but Magnus still has an edge with the bishop pair. So, also the biggest note is that he's not that down on the clock. Right, it's very close. I think that's huge for Magnus to keep the speed up.
Yeah, and look at this endgame. It is even material, 2 bishops against bishop knight pair, and Magnus should be better, but I'm not sure he trusts himself that he might even look at this position, one that in the back of his head he wants to win, but at the same time he's like, I don't want to lose on time.
Yeah, you don't want to lose on time, but you also don't want to lose on the board. At this point, I don't think Magnus is in danger of losing on the board, but can he create enough for a win? You got to start racking up some dubs here, down by 5.
And the pawns trading off is really good news for the knight, right? The knight is a slow-moving piece. The bishops, they look across the board in a better way. E5 is dropping, but then A3 would be captured. So Magnus desperately clinging on to both of his pawns.
Yeah, he's trying to create some sort of swindle. He does manage to steal one, but Hikaru... Wait, okay. There's some chances to win here, and time is even enough that Magnus could convert this. No,
I think what Magnus could have done was take this pawn. He could have bishop e6 and took it. I'm worried about him getting flagged, and he takes the pawn right now.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. A draw. Apparently, Hikaru has crossed lines that very few should venture into. He's listening to Nickelback.
Whoa, look at this photograph, Danny. Every time I do, it makes me laugh.
Mm-hmm. Although, I will say, why does Nickelback get so much hate? What is the deal with Nickelback getting all the hate?
I don't know. But the answer that we all want is like, what was on Joey's head? Can we just get that?
what the hell was on Joey's head? This is where I grew up, I grew up watching these two in some ways online. Not really. I'm an old man, but
that's how I grew
there
up.
are some people growing up watching these guys.
It's true. And as we get back to the chess, white is up a pawn. So Magnus needs to show that Magnus technique, and he brings his king all the way up, but he's dropping pawns, and I'm worried about him losing another game.
Yeah, the knight is just so pesky there. The king is in a danger zone for sure. There are mating net possibilities. Although, look at the aggression. I like this f5. If we're traded into the rook ending... Hikaru's fine. Sorry.
Yeah.
He does well. Hikaru's actually doing fine.
I mean, Magnus needs to be reminded of who he really is. He's going to the end game.
Yeah, it needs to be reminded of who he really is.
Can you take on
by the
D7?
way, I think Hikaru can just take on D7 and he doesn't realize it.
Yeah.
Take on D7 and King D8 and it's over.
Mm-hmm.
Now he stops to calculate. I think he's not... Wait, what happened?
Yeah. No, he realized that he was winning because he's on a delay because he's streaming. So he's like, I could have just captured his rook and won the endgame.
Oh, it was perpetual. Okay, I didn't realize that it was a draw. Yeah, but he just realized he was winning if he had traded rooks.
Oh, this looks really bad for Hikaru, though. Like, I know Hikaru sometimes plays some dodgy stuff, but handing your opponent the light squares in front of your king feels like a bad idea usually.
Hikaru is... he couldn't make it as a wise man. Maybe he'll make it as a poor man stealing, although right now Magnus is going to steal one.
Danny, I want to...
That game reminds us of who Magnus Carlsen is. This is how you remind us, Magnus, of who you really are.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to keep going in this Nickelback direction. I can. I can if you want.
We can force it all day. I wonder if one day we'll confess how many times you and I have played the game where we were sneaking words on the show. Because our producers don't want to know that. But every once in a while, talent has to, we won't go there. But every once in a while, we have fun.
I mean, Danny, come on. Let's be real. Someday, somehow, I'm going to make it all right, but not right now. Okay, well, Magnus needs to make it all right now because he's down a lot in the match, but he's better in this position because he's going right after Hikaru's king.
Yeah, he is. Although, he's still down 5 games.
Oh.
So I feel like he just won. Didn't that make it 4? Maybe I missed something.
Well, I think we missed a
Yep.
lot because we were singing.
We were,
Nickelback.
stuck in Nickelback references, which is, never go full Nickelback, as they say.
And I agree with that chat that Hikaru is so good. He's been playing amazing chess. But in this game, look at Hikaru's king. It's wide open, and Magnus isn't even down any material for this attack.
Yeah, Magnus is rolling here, and it is a 4-game. It is a 4-game. I'm glad that even when I lose my focus, full Nickelback, I was on top of the score there. Magnus should bring this to 3 games unless something crazy happens. Although I'm not going to doubt those knights. This is okay. He's doing a good job cleaning up the tactics. No more forks. Push him, baby. And Magnus brings us to
He's
3
slow.
games here.
No, Magnus is slow right now. He's down to 6 seconds.
Really?
He
Oh,
should
yeah.
get this done, but he's playing very slowly.
Yeah, Hikaru is pre-moving the bleep out of this.
Okay, but that was good.
3 seconds.
That was
Okay.
really nice by Magnus there. To push his F pawn, get his king involved, and not fall for a fork. So Magnus, it's back to 3 points. He's feeling better. You can see it on his face. But Hikaru still has a healthy lead in the match.
18 minutes to go. Remember, we had 45 minutes to start, which ultimately is huge for Magnus, because at this point, if it was 30 minutes, probably would be down and out, right? So this is exactly what we wanted to see, the most chess possible between these two guys in a final. And Magnus is turning the momentum around.
Yeah, I mean, Magnus is asking, could you say goodbye to yesterday? Because if today was your last day, you got to win this bullet challenge.
Stop. You are shameless. You're shameless.
Well, back to the bullet here. It looks like Magnus with the black pieces. He's much better because his king is safer, and he's going after Hikaru's pawns.
Yeah, and if 8-2 falls, this is one of those positions that it's hard to lose as black. That's the other problem, is that Magnus is up on the clock and there aren't any tricks, right? Sometimes you're losing, but there's weirdness to come. There's knight forks, there's king safety. In this position, the game is a pretty easy one for black to play.
Yeah, you're up a pawn and a clear extra one. He goes bishop c8. He wants the outermost pawn. Bring the king over to e8 and play bishop d8. I think that's... Oh, he gave up the a pawn for the d pawn, but that was a surprising decision.
Yeah. I don't know that improves his winning chances. So right as I say that, maybe Hikaru is in a position to hold this. That would be unfortunate for Magnus for his momentum to come to a screeching halt. And by the way, Hikaru up enough on the clock that this could get dangerous.
Yes, it really could. And now you see both players scrambling at the moment. And look at that defense from Hikaru. He plants his bishop in front of the pawn. And now he's the one with the active king and a passer of his own.
Yep. Whoa.
Oh my gosh.
What is going on there? Queen ending invited. 7 seconds for Magnus, 10 for Hikaru.
And Magnus wants to trade queens, but not at that point. No, he didn't want to trade queens right there.
Oh, wait, but White was winning if you took, because some weird opposition.
Yeah, no, the white king was
if you
too
took on
close.
d6 and king c8, White was winning.
Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy, though. That's 2 endgames Hikaru has missed the chance to trade into a winning king and pawn ending. And again, we don't have time. This is not the most instructive chess show you're ever going to watch on Twitch, everyone, because it's bullet. But yeah, White was winning due to irregular flanking opposition there, and crazy stuff.
Yeah, that was pretty wild. And it's hard to trade like that because your king is so far away. You think, I might lose the game. And that is definitely not something that Hikaru wants. And you know what he's doing? He is waiting. He's going to go down to 1 second left and then make bishop h6. It will be a 3-time repetition. The game will be a draw, but at least he burns 30 more seconds off the match clock.
Yeah. And he's pausing to make sure he does that and playing the meta game, taking a sip of that giant mug of water. There's not really much to do here. Looking at this analysis, every time I do it makes me laugh. Every time I do it makes me.
I can't do it anymore, dude. I'm trying to wean off the Nickelback references because otherwise I'm going to burn it to the ground.
Sorry, I was slow on the update there, reading chat. And that laugh was probably a little unnecessary. I'm so glad it's the weekend. All right. Well, the draw comes to Hikaru Nakamura. He has a 10-7 lead. We'll switch that scoreboard here in just a second. But yeah, that draw burns some time off the clock. and Hikaru Nakamura maintaining his lead.
Yeah. He's really playing a great match, but Magnus is making it more and more competitive, not just by the scoreboard, but just the way Magnus has played in many of these games. But I like what Hikaru is doing here. Look at how even this position is, and it's a complete draw, and that allows Hikaru to burn even more time off the clock because he's not going to lose this game. And Magnus, if he doesn't play quickly, at some point Hikaru may say, "I'm not making a draw anymore. I'm going to try to flag you."
Yeah, but I'm just furious right now with our mods who did a poll for the best Nickelback song. Where's Photograph? Oh, Photograph's at the top. Green, because I missed it. Yeah, Photograph. There you go. Photograph is probably their best song.
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah. Another king and pawn ending. Hikaru going to get as much time off the clock as he can. Although I will say this. At this point, the meta of getting time off the clock isn't that relevant yet, right? This is not the type of lead, Robert, that is devastating. It's a 3-game lead. Remember, if it even gets within 1 game, we have overtime chess because the new rules are that you have to win bullet matches by 2. So I'm just pointing out that regardless of the fact that we're losing time here, I don't think that he's in a position to really protect the lead like that yet.
Yeah, it takes me back to Hikaru versus Wesley So and those speeches championships where they did this forever. It felt like because there was increment, which made it worse because you could make a little pawn move at some point and then start over again. In pure bullet, with 0 seconds added per move, someone's going to flag. They can't just wait forever. So the 50-move rule happened, and now we see in this game, Magnus, he's going for it. He is on the offensive on the king side, but has he overextended?
A nice strike by Hikaru to play F5. That's actually a really thematic, instructive point. I know we said we don't get a lot of analysis in bullet, everybody, but that was a really great thing because White has also opened his king with this pawn storm, and that's what Black points out with this F5 move. So Hikaru makes it spicy, and both kings are in danger.
And what's going on here? The queen went up to c4. Black blocked it. Is there trouble on this e6 square if you can trick? He just dropped the pawn on e6. Wait, didn't Magnus have? There was a knight on e6. He could have taken this pawn on d6. So Magnus with the oversight, and now Hikaru. I mean, he looks like he's getting a knight f3 in there.
Yeah. Wow. Hikaru turned that around. Consider it done as far as Nickelback references in an interview. Consider it done. Maybe we'll do that thing where all of us are in the inside joke. Oh!
Whoa! King f2!
Knight takes e2!
And
Rookie 8 is hanging.
Yeah, that... Look at the time.
Gosh.
Hikaru was kind of burning some of the clock, and then he made that move, and it was a rough decision. And Magnus went bishop g5, allowing this. He had better options, but he just wants to make a draw. He does not want to lose on time. He just wants to grab these last pawns.
Yeah, he's only got 6 seconds. If Hikaru keeps a pawn, he has winning chances, but Magnus will have none of it. That one got away from Hikaru. And again, I know we've seen Hikaru doing more of the meta bullet things here, milking the clock, protecting a lead. But with 11 minutes plus to go here, we already saw Magnus overcome a 3-game deficit in 5 minutes versus Ali Reza Firouzja. So this is close.
I'm totally with you. I think that Hikaru, he's trying to use that strategy to his advantage, but in some of these games, it's his disadvantage. You'd rather win a game in 20 seconds than draw a game in a minute. There's still enough time for Magnus to make this comeback. And look at this position. It's very sharp. Where White has an extra pawn, or did have an extra pawn over there on the queen side. Now Black is in the driver's seat. D5, that's a weakness. And, whoa, that was a quick spot by Magnus.
Yeah. And he's going to have a couple extra pawns here. Plus the bishop versus knight dynamic should be better for Black. Only thing you have to watch out for usually is the time against Hikaru, but Magnus also up 5 seconds on the clock here. So a good turnaround for Carlsen. Yeah. But that open king, Hikaru is not going to make this easy. Spying some tactics.
And B3 just fell, and now it looks like we're into an end game that unfortunately for Magnus should be a draw. But now look at the clock. Magnus is the one up a few seconds. He's also up a pawn. He should try to win this game.
He should. And now he's got to pass the e-pawn. This is a lot harder to hold than it looks for White. If Magnus can keep his cool on the clock. He is still up 3 seconds. That's huge. Yeah, this is not easy.
The king could go up to f5. Oh, also e3
now. Yeah, this is objectively... Now it's objectively losing for White. Magnus in position to bring this back to 2 games.
Oh, but Hikaru tricked him. Hikaru tricked him. When the rook is in front, the king could come back to the second rank. But if the the rook wasn't back there, there was going to be an E1 check. And now Hikaru's going up on time. Oh, my goodness.
And he's the one who could win on the board. I mean, okay, it's going to be a draw, but I wonder if he shouldn't have traded rooks there. That's crazy.
Wow.
Wow,
I mean,
what a save.
that was incredible. He understood that if his rook was behind the pawn, which you normally want, he couldn't get his king back. So he drops the rook to the first rank, brings it in front of the pawn, and his king was able to scamper back just in the nickel back of time. So that was a nice save there by Hikaru Nakamura.
You know?
And and now we have another game that's mainline stuff.
And yeah, we're going to do the game chat where all of us are on this inside joke. And Robert and I are going to try to squeeze Nickelback references into the interview. And it'll be awesome. It's going to be fun. I don't know who we're going to be interviewing. We still got a long ways to go. I will say that, again, I know it's a 3-game lead, but Hikaru's had his chances, Robert, objectively, I think, to make the lead bigger. We know he missed those spots in a couple of endgames, right, where he didn't convert to the king upon ending. So, will it come back to haunt him? Right now, Magnus, again, threatening to make it a 2-game lead.
Yeah, he should be winning this. I don't see how you stop this pawn unless you give up your rook. And A7 right now. Who cares about this bishop? You are getting this queen.
Yeah.
Magnus, he wins a quick game there. It's only a 2-point spread.
That's huge. That's huge. Exactly. No, this is again, I think that it's too early to provide criticism overall in any sort of match strategy, but I do think Hikaru protected his lead a little bit with a couple of those draws, and Magnus held on, and now might have a little bit of momentum as we head into the final minutes.
And now we have another complicated opening where Black is attacking on the queen side, and also White's not attacking anywhere because the rook on C8 keeps White's pieces honest.
Yeah, Queen E2 is a nice little trick. He goes and steals that pawn. Whoa. But here comes Carlsen on the second rank.
Takes an F4. So he missed something better. I don't know what it was, but it clearly the eval bar, instead of being all the way down for Black, it went back towards the middle. And somehow Hikaru is escaping? How?
Yeah. I don't know how Hikaru escaped that. And now it's turning around the other way. 93. He blundered the endgame. Hikaru's got an extra pawn on the outside.
No, this is just great for Hikaru. In fact, he's winning. I think if I'm Magnus, I might just resign.
Wow.
Oh, and as soon as I say that, Hikaru blunders the pawn.
Hikaru blunders right back. What's the time? 28 to 18 seconds. So Hikaru should... Oh, F6 check. He pre-moved it. Hikaru played King E5, and Magnus had pre-moved F6. The house falls with the E6 pawn. And what a huge win for Hikaru that is, to keep Magnus's momentum back.
And you could just see the pain in Magnus's face as they get into another endgame. No queens on the board in this one. It seems to be the match strategy for these players. Let's go down to the endgame. White has the bishop pair, but we'll see if Magnus is still reeling from that loss. He needed to hold that game, but he still does have enough time to get a couple wins here. What is this position? Danny, this just looks really good for Magnus. To my eyes, and the eval bar is absolutely unfazed.
Yeah. It looks great for White, but it's also a closed position that could go for a while here, the E-file being the only open one. So I'm starting to play the meta game, Robert. I'm looking at the time. Again, Magnus did overcome 3 games in 5 minutes for Perugia, but Nakamura is a different animal. And you're starting to get up against it, where the closed positions are ones you just have to avoid, even if you're better.
Now Black is better, and he pushes his pawn, so maybe some trades will happen, opposite colored bishops. There's a check on D5 here. Sorry, why is Black better? Is it because the B pawn is just that strong?
You're asking me, you know? Eval bar needs a raise. Now, that is a pun I could get behind right there. Okay, Magnus finds a way to get the counterplay. Unfortunately, though, this is a draw that's going to take another 30 seconds off the total game clock for sure. Hikaru's going to milk this all the way to the end, and we're going to be under 5 minutes.
And if you're Hikaru, I don't think you push the B pawn. You might just lose that endgame, as Black will be up a piece, but White will have these passed pawns that will roll up the board. So Magnus needs to go like King G5, back to F5, back and forth over there, and Hikaru might... Yeah, he goes in. He goes in for the win.
He goes for it.
But Hikaru's down on time. He's
Happens.
losing.
Oh, F4.
And here,
Man,
Magnus
he pushed it too far.
Magnus just needs to move. It doesn't matter if you blunder.
What a
just go.
huge momentum shift here.
F6 and E7.
Oh my gosh. What a momentum shift. Magnus Carlsen wins to bring this within 2 games, and we have 4 minutes and 45 seconds left. I spoke too soon. I thought it was a dead obstacle bishop ending. Hikaru should have taken the draw.
And then Hikaru brought his king in. He could have repeated at any moment. And you saw the grimace on his face. That was one of those, like, I shouldn't have done that. Why did I do it? And speaking of why is he doing things, what is this opening for white? It looks really bad.
Yeah. This is where Hikaru is... You got to take a breath and not go into the kind of dubious opening lane that, again, sometimes he can revert to, which works against 99.999% of people in Bullet. But Magnus is going to get positions like this and be better if Hikaru plays those weird openings.
Just light square domination. You can't kick that.
Yeah.
Whoa, a queen sack on G4. Wow.
Wow.
He made that decision
actually
so quickly.
Looks pretty good.
Yeah. That was ridiculous. That might be one of the most ridiculous moments of the match. He's losing the game, though.
Yeah, he's losing the game now. It's falling apart, and that king is in a lot of danger. What a move there, G5, by the way, forcing the rook to the awkward square. And this is going to be a one-game match with 3 minutes to go, everybody. Buckle up. You're looking at a couple of rock stars where the chess comes easy and the blunders are cheap.
Danny, I thought you were saving me from all the Nickelback references, and then there you go. Well, what? Wait. Hikaru just blundered, and it seems like Magnus could have taken more advantage of it, but didn't. But still, he has the better position and the safer king. A knight into D5. The bishop slicing across the board, a long-range piece against the black king.
Yeah, the momentum, again, we've seen it happen. Magnus overcame momentum against Firouzja. Very similar to this. Down 3 games with about 5 minutes left. Now he's only down by 1, and you got to win by 2. Thanks for everything you just said, Captain Obvious. You're welcome.
I do appreciate it, but you know what I would do if I'm Hikaru here? I'm looking at the overall match clock, but it's only a 1-point spread. Look to flag Magnus. Bishops are more difficult to move than rooks in time scrambles. Magnus doing the right thing, pushing his pawn all over the board. It's a bishop and 3 pawns for a rook, and yet here I am saying, look at the clock and look at Hikaru's chances.
Yeah, objectively, the chess is good for white here, but the rook is so much easier to play in these spots. The bishop is stuck. You can't pre-move. Like, look at this. The rook can already pre-move in a way that white cannot, and that's such a practical advantage in these games.
He's going for the H.
He goes for it, but he had to take time on it.
Yeah, he's moving very slowly, and Hikaru playing... a repetition. I don't think that's good for Hikaru. I felt like he could have played on.
Yeah, I think he should have played king e5 there instead of the last rook a5 and allowed the game to go on. Now you're down to a game, though, that it could be it, right? If Hikaru wins this game, that's it. Magnus got to win to send us into overtime or at least not lose.
And what is this opening? It looks very adventurous, and white's king is safely castled. Black's king remains in the center, but black does have the pair of bishops. So I would say initial advantage white, but if the checkmate attack doesn't happen quickly, then black suddenly might be right back in this.
Agreed. F6. It's a spicy move. And you want that knight on d5, but he wants more than just a trade.
Wow,
the rook enters the center, but here comes bishop e3.
But rook d3. Oh, he walked into it. Check. I missed the check.
Oh, he had a check. I missed the check. Everybody missed the check.
I mean, we're in scary territory. This queen just wrapped around a b5, but it's doing nothing over there. Yeah. In fact, the e4 pawn's about to drop, and the f6 pawn is also weak in the endgame.
No one knows what's going on here, least of all the eval bar. It's a 5-second time advantage, though, for Hikaru, which is huge if things stay the same. Magnus has got to make something happen or he's going to get flagged.
Yes, if Magnus is going to lose, he better keep an eye on the match clock and then resign immediately because there's still time left, and he would have a chance to win that game. But, it's getting bad for him. It looks like the eval bar is saying white is better.
That's a brilliant point. If Magnus is going to lose, he needs to resign like now.
Yes, but it's unclear. You know, in this position, it looks like black is the one who's doing well. He's stealing the pawns, but his clock is down under 11 seconds. He's grabbing all the pawns. He's got to go. He has to rush this like he's never rushed before.
Yep, 10 seconds. Here comes the
Oh,
A pawn.
oh,
Push him.
it was not
Oh, before! He
It's
missed
a
it.
tied match. It's a tied match, and they get one more game.
My God.
I think there were seconds on the clock, so this game doesn't start the 6-move mini match that they would have to see who can win by 2. We'll get word from our producers, but he went rook b4. I'm not sure if he was going for a cheeky, my opponent might pre-move, or he mouse it. But either way, Magnus takes the game, and we are knotted up at 13.5.
OMGeezer snaps. There's a reason those emotes exist for subscribers. Emotes like this, because we freak out when bullet chess happens, and this is crazy. And Hikaru again just felt like he snatched a defeat, snatched a draw there from the jaws of victory. He and Magnus has got to get credit for keeping in those games. By the way, Magnus now up on the clock here.
I mean, this is a renewed sense of faith in his ability to win this match. And while we are seeing some trades, the h4 pawn is loose. That bishop on g7 hitting the e5 pawn. But I think Magnus with the lead on the clock, and I would take his position even though that rook just landed in the enemy camp.
Completely agreed. You gotta like White's position here. This is regulation. We have had it confirmed, we believe, by production and game ops who are behind the scenes making sure. Whoa!
What was rook e4? He's going for a rook lift. I guess there was a knight f6 check and opening up the e-file.
Uh-huh.
There's something here. Apparently there is. He goes queen d8. He wants rook d8 with a mating attack. The queen blocks in g6.
Yeah. There was queen takes f3 there for black, by the way, everyone. That's why he retreated to d3. Hikaru trying to get the queens off the board. Who's better here with the a pawn, the e pawn? I have no idea what's going on. Will Magnus just settle on a draw?
No.
I think he does.
And you see Magnus, he's mad at himself because he was up about 7 seconds. The match remains tied. Now we are into overtime. And so it changes things. It's still win by 2, and they get 6 games. So after the 6th game, if there's someone in the lead, they win the match, even if it's just a 1-point margin. Danny, this is what the people wanted.
This is what the people wanted. It's what they signed up for. I am just sitting here like a little kid, bundled up on Christmas, opening presents, knows that all of them are going to be great. Doesn't matter. I don't even know what's going on or any other holiday. I'm excited.
Hey, you like to open presents. I think Magnus wants to open the C file. This rook would have caused some problems, but he doesn't do that. Instead, he gives himself the F4 square and goes to the B file. And watch out, the A2 pawn is hanging. Rook B2.
Yep. Oh my God, that's nasty. If you take it, we're going to have a baby girl Brittany on B1. You can't give black... Oh, my God, it's all falling apart here. Hikaru will be down in the match, by the way, for the first time today if he loses. Hikaru has not trailed in this match.
Wait, where did Magnus' queen just go? He didn't retreat it. He could have brought it back to F7, but he goes for this, and maybe we spoke too soon.
What just happened?
Oh, my gosh. This F6 pawn is hanging.
How did that happen?
And he pre-moved king h8, and he's just losing the game.
Wow. Well, I gave a commentator's curse earlier, and it backfired on Hikaru Nakamura. I guess I just cursed Magnus there because I am shocked that Hikaru Nakamura has won that game.
I just can't believe Magnus didn't drop his queen back when he was stealing all the pawns in the position. Maybe he just didn't realize there was a bishop on b3 before that. He didn't realize he could go back, but that's a thing of the past. And right now, Magnus with the white pieces has a nice position, but he's down 5 seconds. So he needs to go after this d6 pawn. He needs to hammer away at Hikaru's setup. Did he just... Oh, he got so fortunate that the rook on a8 was loose.
So lucky. He blundered the skewer, but it didn't matter. Hikaru worse in this position, but as you said, up a few seconds on the clock. But again, it's win or go home. Literally, if anyone earns a 2-point margin, everybody, that's it. Ship it. We're done.
And what is happening here? The rook b3 steals a pawn, but this open c file. Watch out for the black king. Oh, they're making mistakes, both of them. Of course, it's bullet. It happens.
Yeah.
Oh, there's apparently a winning. Queen h7.
Nerves.
Free knight. Free knight.
e7, it was just hanging. Oh, he's still hanging. He sees it the third time.
Oh my
Oh
goodness.
my gosh. Agreed. These games never disappoint. Oh my gosh. Hikaru on a little bit of a delay. That's the moment where his knight was hanging.
And now bishop is hanging.
It's not over, though.
Oh, he just dropped a second piece. So he first dropped a knight, then a bishop. and his queen's not trapped. But look at Magnus. Just get those queens off the board. And then, he didn't even have to. Hikaru resigned.
Yeah. Hikaru throws in the towel. We're back to tied. All netted up at 15 games apiece. Moving on to our third game in overtime, everybody.
I haven't seen an overtime this good since UConn Syracuse back in that Big East tournament. This is really some epic stuff. I mean, they must both be super nervous at this stage. And look at Magnus adopting this French-like structure without a light square bishop.
Yeah, good for black here. Magnus increasing his space advantage on the queen side. High-level chess and bullet. Look at this move, king d7, by the way. Oh, connecting the rooks.
A great endgame. That's what they say, right? I hate on the French in the opening, but when you get to the endgame, it's almost always better for black because the base pawn, f7, very hard to get to, and look at white's pawns, they're sticking out a bit.
Yep. Opposite position you want to be in a French. Also, no edge on the clock this time for Hikaru. He is staring down what could be his first deficit in the match.
And the last time you said it, you jinxed Magnus. This time you almost did as well, apparently. But look at that, these knights. They're going right after this rook, and if rook c2? What is happening here?
I have no idea. He's going to take c1 and be down the exchange, but he's got some compensation.
Oh, no, look,
what a trick.
He wants to trade them all. He wants to trade all the rooks.
93 is going to take everything off the board. Hikaru doesn't want it.
And Hikaru's in huge trouble. Magnus just has to take. Why did he spend like 5 seconds on that turn? He is wasting time.
Yeah, now he's losing the c-pawn, and he doesn't even win the material back. This is going the wrong direction for for Magnus.
Okay, but he did go up a piece here. And he's keeping knight f5. Go give a check. Just give a check somewhere.
What's the time? Oh, but you got 10 to 7 seconds here.
And it's now under 8.
Super dangerous for Magnus.
Yeah, he's pre-moving. He's trying his best. Oh, he's blown to the a5 pawn, and now Hikaru's taking it, and he's taking the g6 pawn. So if the rooks come off, Hikaru
oh my god,
cannot
and
lose
white's
the game.
even better now.
Oh my gosh. God. And Magnus lost in time.
Wow. He screams at the screen, unbelievable. I don't know what he's yelling about, but that is not what you wanted. Hikaru maintains a 1-game lead, or regains a 1-game lead, and Magnus has never led in this match.
And I think part of it is your fault. The commentator's curse strikes again.
I'll shut up. I mean,
no, you do the talking. Hey, we're not rooting for anybody here.
Every time Magnus gets close to taking his first lead, again, you're just joining, Hikaru has led this match wire to wire. Magnus completed at one point, what was it, a 4? Was it 5 games at one point?
It ballooned up to quite a substantial difference between them. But I guess they're chatting. Maybe Hikaru, because his matches haven't been close, he doesn't know that overtime is still win by 2. They're checking to see what game they are. So that is very smart. That is really smart by both of them. They're seeing how many games do we have left before it becomes sudden death.
Yeah. So they're chatting with the team. Staff confirmed it was 5 games of a lead for Hikaru Nakamura at one point. In fact, at a couple different points, Hikaru had a 5-game lead. So we are in overtime chess here. Both players confirming where the match sits. And it's a win by 2 scenario unless we get to 6 games, and then it's sudden death. Whoever wins is your bullet chess champion. Although, actually, if Magnus Carlsen wins, we get more chess. So for the content, many people rooting for Magnus. For the Hikaru fans, they don't want to see any more chess.
And who do you think that little stall favored? Because Magnus lost the game, but both players must be nervous. So do you feel like any side gets the upper hand thanks to that mini break?
I think with players like this who are just objectively so good, it probably doesn't really matter. But you have to believe it always favors the person who lost the game to be able to take a breath. So maybe Magnus can kind of control his emotions for a moment. He is up a little bit in terms of space here.
Oh, and the d6 pawn is the worst pawn on the board if you can get around your dark square bishop. So yeah, a little bit extra space for Magnus, but a lot of extra time for Hikaru. 5 seconds at the moment. And whoa, what just happened to the king side?
What just happened there?
I look away for a second, and it's like vacuumed off the board.
Yeah, everything just exited. Hikaru probably okay with a draw, even though that doesn't win the match because he's black. Gives him another chance to win with white. Remember, it's win by 2, unless we get to the 7th game.
This is an incredibly played game thus far, Danny. I've been watching the eval bar. It hasn't moved. They put all the best moves to this point, and black gives
That's
up a piece,
insane.
but gets a bunch of pawns.
And it's going to be a draw by perpetual check. Maybe not, but
no.
This
Hikaru should play for a win. Look at the clock.
he should, and he knows it, and he does it. Hikaru going in. Wait, there was a blunder. Queen b6.
Yeah, this pawn is promoting. He allowed the queen in. The pawn is promoting. You see it on Magnus' face. He knows.
God.
It's over.
Oh my God! And that
it does it.
Is how Hikaru Nakamura defended his Bullet Chess Championship title.
Oh my goodness. That was a clash of titans. And Hikaru speaking to his fans, his audience on his stream. But Magnus, he's as disappointed there with the second place finish. But Hikaru, he didn't trail a single time in the match. And Magnus almost made it happen, but almost is not good enough.
A wire-to-wire victory for the reigning Bullet Chess champion. Magnus Carlsen will not get one of the only titles in chess that has evaded him at this point in his career. Hikaru Nakamura is still the Bullet Chess champion.